It's a good mix of everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Kibrom and I, Kibrom, you've not met. You've met me, obviously, but we are part of a greater consortium, and we are here because of one project called Agripass, that is GIZ STC funded. For GIZ people who don't know if it was actually funded by you, it is. And so what we're coming here to do is just share a bit of what we've learned in terms of how ADAS plays out with AI. And we have scientific data from the scientists here. And so we're hoping that this is as interactive as possible. And we'd like to learn so much more from you than what we're going to get from us. So please ask questions, share insights from your own personal work or personal project, and share as well what we can improve on based on, we may think it's gospel truth, but from your version or from what you've done, it may not be 100% gospel. Thank you so much for joining us. Over to you, Kibrom.
Great, yeah. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Again, my name is Kibrom Sibhatu. I am from icipe. icipe is International Center of Insect Physiology and Ecology. Our work is mostly related to insects. We are in the biocircular economy. We research and implement projects related to insects and agriculture, both harmful and useful insects. And in the agriculture area, we try to help farmers in many ways. One of them is in digitalization, which that's why we are here through this digital advisor services. So before we move on to, my background is from academics, so I prepared in a lecture way, but at least, okay, we can switch space. So, yeah, let me ask you questions first. I think we need to make it very interactive. The first one is, what is the ideal ratio of extension agents to farmers? What's the ideal ratio? So, like we have how many doctors per patients, or what's the ideal ratio? Okay. Yeah, maybe. So the ideal ratio is 1 to 400. And an ideal village in Sub-Saharan Africa has 200 households. Technically speaking, we are saying that a given extension agent for 2 villages. What do you think the actual ratio is?
Close.
Very close. So it varies. Yeah, okay. Yes, 1 to 5,000 on average. So it varies from 3,000 to 10,000. So basically, a given extension agent is handling 10,000 farmers. And we have a very short season in Sub-Saharan Africa, less than 3 months. And then do you think this extension agent can visit all of those 10,000 farmers in this season? Almost no. And then we know agriculture, sorry, agriculture also has trends or like time frame. For example, there is pre-planting. Then each farmer should receive the same information at the same time by this extension agent. So then it comes planting. Then we have the weeding or management time. Then we have the harvesting season. Then we have the post-harvest handling process. So, and each farmer is supposed to receive the same information at the same time. And we have a given extension agent, like one is handling 3,000 to 10,000 extension agent. Okay. The other question is the gender issue. So what do you think is the average labor force, or the average labor force in Sub-Saharan Africa, or the average female labor force involved in Sub-Saharan Africa in agriculture production or food production? what is the female ratio that's involved in agricultural production or food production in Sub-Saharan Africa? Yes, as a source of labor, yeah. Yes, it also varies from 50 to 80%. So like in Kenya, for example, in most parts of Kenya, female handle the agricultural activities. Some parts of Ethiopia, they mostly, you will see men and boys. What do you think, what is the ratio of female extension agents in Sub-Saharan Africa? Yeah, 2%. So the ratio is about 20% on average. So we have 50 to 80% of the farmers are, or the people who are involved in agriculture are female, 50 to 80%, and the extension agents are only, female are only 20%. So we have gender division or gender, basically, we are not also fulfilling in terms of not only, we don't have like enough extension agents, but we also have issues when we divide further into by gender or by socioeconomic class or by ethnic group. Okay. So, and in Sub-Saharan Africa, so I will talk in the context of Sub-Saharan Africa here. Yesterday, I think, what is Tondo from Bill Gates Foundation, I think he has already mentioned the key factors, but I told you my background is from education, so I always repeat to the students. So repetition is mother of learning. So if we're repeating, so probably we will learn. So I don't mind repeating the information. Probably it will be repetitive, but for the sake of learning, we can repeat. So in Sub-Saharan Africa, extension services, or particularly public extension services, is offered by the NARS, by the National Agricultural Research Centers. They play very, very critical role. Basically, we were mentioning that the one extension agent to 3,000 or to 10,000 farmers comes from the agriculture, national agriculture extension agents or extension centers. The problem is they have a lot of limitation. Some of the limitations are mentioned are here. Limited farmer participation in designing and delivery. So always extension systems in Sub-Saharan Africa, almost globally, it's top-down approach. So the people sitting at the head of the agriculture ministry design certain interventions, often pushed by funders from the West probably, and we design and then we go and reach the farmer. So this is one of the critical limitations of extension services in Sub-Saharan Africa. We have limitations in the resources and capacity. They are ill-equipped. And you have an agent, you want her to visit the remote areas, and she doesn't have service to visit them, particularly during the rain season. The rain season, the roads, they don't function. But this woman, she is supporting her family, she is doing everything, and then she has to go to visit a remote village. So there is lack of resources. The local contexts are often ignored because we say it's designed at a national level. Extension services or the interventions that are planned are usually at high level, so they don't include the local context. Gender and use. We were mentioning that we have very low number of extension agents, but not only very low, but also we don't have many, or we have basically lack of female extension agents. And yeah, with the help of a given extension agent who is supposed to give information pre-planting, during planting, during the management or weeding time, during harvesting, during post-harvest, and we want to scale information. We want to reach 80% of the African population information every stage of a farmer at the same time. So this traditional way of agriculture system, it cannot be scaled. And we are hoping that AI and DPI could help us shorten these shortfalls of the traditional extension systems. So to make it unconference now, is there anything that we need to talk about the limitations, or can somebody also support us in elaborating further the limitations of the existing extension system? Yes.
The extension services number one in Kenya to a function of county government. So that is a factor for Kenya. Then another factor for Kenya is that the policy for extensions is demand driven. This is unlike the years before when the services were train and visit. Train and visit would mean that the officer is visiting the farmer. But the requirement now is that the farmer has to go and demand for the service. Many of our farmers out there are not even aware of this kind of provision. So what happens is the farmer will sit down there, does not know that he's supposed to go and demand a service. And the few farmers who are elite and are able to know that they are supposed to go and demand a service, many a times when they go to demand the service, they actually get not very kind responses from the officers. Maybe they will be required to facilitate the officer, for the officer to visit the farmer. So that kind of challenge is Kenya. I don't know the experience of the other countries. And maybe when we're discussing this, I will be very keen to understand how to now address the policy issues that are surrounding extension services. Then again on Kenya, the issue of CRI providing services for the farmers. The policy area or the policy gap is that an act that was enacted in 2013 brought together all the research, the value chain research institutions, and this therefore affected the service delivery to the farmer. Alongside that, there is a levy that was actually funding the research. And when this levy was also withdrawn, also affected the service delivery to the farmer. So for us, we have policy issues that I would really be very keen. This is basically on production level, but it cuts across through processing and marketing.
Thank you. One more, and then we'll move to the next slide. So we will give you a chance in the other slide. Yeah.
Thanks. What came to mind when you mentioned earlier about the number of extension officers per person, and like what's ideal or not. And I think with digitalization, what's happening is you're seeing that what you're referring to there is like formal extension, right? And the internet has changed that entirely, right? You're seeing extension work happening in informal spaces. So it's changing what extension actually is and who the extension officer is. Now, it just came to mind that there's been a huge amount of work on YouTube videos in Indonesia and like people studying the comment sections. And it's like this basically this way that's completely beyond formal extension networks where extension work is happening, but we're not engaging it. I think it hasn't really come up at all in the conference so far.
Yeah, thank you so much. But for the contact time, we will move to the next slide. So in the beginning here, I mentioned that hopefully, yeah, AI and DPI is supposed to help us or to bridge the shortfalls of the traditional extension services. But do we actually have a potential for it in Sub-Saharan Africa? What are the potentials? So the first potential is the people, I was mentioning that up to 80% in some countries, like if you go to Ethiopia, for example, 75, 80% of the people, they are involved in agriculture. When you disaggregate by gender, almost 90% of women in most countries, they are in agriculture, because the men, they go in search of jobs to the cities, and still the women are doing the farming. So we have millions of farmers. Technical speaking, we can scale up digital advisors. So we have the market, like if you see it in terms of business, in terms of investment, in terms of attracting foreign direct investment. So we have millions of people. This is the biggest potential. We have also young. So the average African person she is supposed to start her freshman program or freshwoman. Can we say freshwoman to make it gender sensitive? So yeah, so she's supposed to start her university. So we are talking that a very young continent. And when we are young, which means we have the aspiration to learn, to challenge ourselves, to learn new things. So these are the biggest, the two biggest potentials for AI and DPI. And that's why actually we are aggregating or are meeting here. And the third biggest advantage is, now we were mentioning that agriculture, it has levels or stages like pre-planting, planting and something, but it also goes to livestock. I was mentioning only on the crop side. Then we have livestock. And then it goes also for the soil science. It goes also the weather. It goes a lot of things. So which mean, but extension agents, they are specialized. So we will find an extension agent, which is into horticulture, then into agronomy, into dryland agriculture, into soil science, into veterinary science. And then, which means it is not only like 1 to 400, but we need also to provide like extension agents specialized in several ways, like from crop, livestock, and other areas. So AI, the other potential is we can bundle this. So someone was mentioning before, we can provide the services, we can integrate all these technologies together in one, and then provide and like address the limitation of providing the extension service in person. So for example, you can weather index and crop insurance, which is now a hot topic, particularly in Kenya. ILRI is particularly working, I think, in this area here. They need information on pests and diseases. So which means, imagine a pest is coming, and then this one extension agent is going to tell the 10,000 farmers, oh, you have a pest coming, please take care of something. So we can integrate all of them. And other issue we have in Sub-Saharan Africa is malnutrition and food insecurity. We can also integrate the services. Basically, this is what a healthy diet, a balanced diet look like. So yeah, so these are the three potentials that we think are there. And then now I need an input from you. What other potentials do we have for using AI and DPI? And what other opportunity potentials do we have here? We can further elaborate this one? Anyone? Yes.
See, these are valid, but beyond that, as the cost of smartphones, as the cost of mobile data sort of goes down, as more people start using digital advisory services, what they do is they also create a digital exhaust or a digital footprint, right? A lot of times getting data feedback from the constituents, smallholder farmers, is always expensive and is challenging, right? With the right governance structures, we have an opportunity to really get data back onto the, into the mix. And more importantly, what you refer to is like, we are trying to create like a platform economy. We are trying to create a platform. Once you create that platform through the engagement of farmer on a digital app, that platform becomes very versatile. You can do advisory, you can do finance, you can do bundling, That really unlocks the power of private sector in creating newer business model innovations. But for that, you fundamentally need a platform. The best example is Facebook. They started without very clear monetization strategy in mind. Initially, they just wanted more people coming onto the platform. Once you have a platform, that platform, you can create multiple business innovations. You can do commerce, you can do all sorts of things, right? But the platform is the foundation, and that's sort of the DPI.
Exactly. So who has access to the e-citizen app in Kenya? You have, right? So if you click it and open it, almost all the ministers are there. While sitting at home, we can reach the Ministry of Forestry, we can reach the Ministry of Transport, all those things. We can apply all those things. So basically, that's what you are saying. The first point was also on the cost of digitalization. So basically, we can bring the example of phones or computers. So 1950s, 1960s, they used to tell us, I don't know, a computer was like the size of a house, like a big building. And it has like only like 5 megabytes of size. Now we have, yeah, smartphone with one terabyte like hard disk. So, but it's also cheaper. Yeah. So the more we involve it, there is also an opportunity to reduce the cost of digitalization. So one more opportunity, female, yes. I will go for gender ratio here. I don't want to do like our public service, our public extension agent. Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Vivian Meta from Located Limited, which is a geospatial company based here in Nairobi, Kenya. So we've had experience in building an e-extension service platform bundled up so that we could support delivery of services at a county government level. As you've had, agriculture has actually been devolved in Kenya. So when I look at the elements you have put in, and of course, building into the conversation around bundling, I would recommend a very key aspect of crop monitoring, which ideally we need useful information that would actually look at the crop condition throughout the entire season, so that then farmers can have information that provides early intervention and of course save on losses that would otherwise occur. The other areas to incorporate are on yield estimation, which is very critical again for government. We invest a lot of resources every year to just do crop cut experiments, which again, just spatial and satellite or remote sensing technologies would provide an easier approach to also do the same. And then also the link to markets, because looking at, once the produce is there, how then can we manage a marketplace that also can be bundled into the same product service?
Yeah, so when we have time, probably I would like to hear from Hello Tractor on how they are trying to bring different stakeholders, different market segments into one hub, and then bundling the technology. But we will move, but if you have time, you can share later at the end. Well, I would like to hide this one. I don't want to share. And I will start it by a question. What are the entry points for AI or for digitalization in Sub-Saharan Africa? Like, say, what are the entry points? What are the two key entry points or key fundamentals that we need for digital, let's say in our context, digital advisor service? What are the two key entry points? Yes. Okay, when he's saying smartphone, yes. The first thing is we need a phone, at least the basic thing, entry point for digitalization. The second one, exactly, network and internet connection. So you guys are already aware. So mobile phone and internet are the key entry points. Without them, basically, we cannot do anything, because we need to deliver information. The type of information that we deliver, it can vary. It could be an SMS, it could be an avatar, it could be a text message, or it could be video. But these are the key important points that we have. And what does it look like? This is a bit old data. I don't have, I try to find the latest information, but this is what we have for Sub-Saharan Africa. This is from 2020. And then if you see here for internet penetration, we have countries from like low connectivity, intermediate, and very high, and the same with mobile phone penetration. And the size of the bubble is their GDP, their agricultural GDP. So there is, at least economically, there is a divide. We have countries like Eritrea, which almost there is zero, or less than 2% percent of the population accessing internet. And on the other hand, we have Mauritius, which is doing great in terms of accessing both internet and smartphone. So this is what it looks like. But also there is division in the beginning I was mentioning by region, across regions, across gender, across wealth. There is a fundamental difference in Africa. So which means when we do this, like we are saying also, we need to digitalize, but we have to input to consider in this segmentation. So when we go to Eritrea, for example, we have to think how to digitalize it or where to start it. And when we go to Mauritius, we have to think in a different way. So there is a big divide, gender, wealth, region. So there is a variation. So, and these are the two key entry, in terms of the key entry points to digitalization. So anyone who can, yeah, Ewan.
In terms of infrastructure, mobile and internet connectivity is good, but I want to throw in a word that will also help in this. This must be affordable. It is not enough just to have mobile and internet, which is for the sake of internet, but it must be also affordable because the people who are going to use this content need it to be able to use it. So if mobile and internet is okay, but I want to add affordability of that. So.
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, Sub-Saharan Africa has the most expensive data bundles in the world. So in Uganda, for example, like in Kenya, so if you want to buy 8 GB bundle for our connection, how much do we pay? 1,000, right? It's close to $10. But if you go to India, by $10, you can pay 100 GB, right? So data bundle, like what you said, is very, 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 very expensive. Yeah, this is true. Even the mobile phones, by the way. Last April, I was in Uganda, Eastern Uganda, in Mbale. So I went to a village. Actually, I was surprised when the farmers were saying, all of our farmers, they have access to smartphone. So I did an interview, a quick interview in few villages. And in a given 200 households village, you will find only 8 smartphones. 8 smartphones. We are not saying that the traditional, like the Nokia one, but 8 smartphones. Then out of the 8, because we will, Minnie will talk later with, we have an app that we want to basically penetrate to the farmers to use it. Out of these 8 smartphones, the 4, they basically full. They don't have any hard disk to install any external software. So Facebook, WhatsApp, all the social media tools, they are already installed in these smartphones, but they can't install any other software. So we are saying that out of the 8, the 50%, they don't function. Basically, we cannot use them for unless we want to send information through TikTok. So, and out of the 4, the 2, they are owned by business women or businessmen who hardly are in the village. They just come to deliver their products. And then somebody is there at the village selling their product. So which means that in this village, we are left only with 2 maximum. And then one of them is owned by the son of the family who is studying at Makerere University. So we have only one. And this rich person is not willing to share the smartphone to the village, basically. So technically speaking, the smartphone penetration is very low, in not only the data. So yeah, this is the issue. Let's move on. So, okay, we are saying AI, digital, okay, there is no study on AI because AI is new. Even for us, those we are using ChatGPT, Gemini, it's still new for us. We are figuring out on how to use it, right? So there is no really impact assessment on AI. But there are studies on digital advisory services. So when you deliver information digitally, does it actually bring benefits? Yes, there are studies. Here, some of the examples of the studies that I clipped and put them here, but they increase income. Particularly, they can increase up to 40 to 75 of the farmer's income. Yeah. They can improve the resilience, particularly giving immediate information to farmers when they have, in terms of resilience, is like, okay, early warning, basically, in terms of pests and diseases, in terms of bad weather, in terms of other things. So, yeah, so there is a hope in terms of bringing impact to the farmers' livelihood as well. Okay, and this brings me to self-promotion on what we are doing for Agripass. At Agripass, basically, we are trying to test what is working. Okay, there is a hope for digital advisory services. They can give income. But what are the best mechanisms to deliver digital information to farmers within the context of Sub-Saharan Africa? So we are trying to, we sorted out and then we figured out that the main way of delivering information, digital information or digitally, or information digitally is through self-service. Self-service means you expose the farmer and she then follows and updates herself. Basically, she exploits the opportunity. This is agent-based. You empower the extension agents with digital information, with updated information, real information. Particularly AI is where it can play here. You can immediately, every day, it can update itself and bring early warning information. So digital agent-based. And we have hybrid, where the farmers, they have both access, the farmer is accessing the app and the extension agent have the access in the app, and which it gives more human interaction. So we are testing these modules. This project is a consortium of 5-6 organizations in Nepal, India, Burkina Faso, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the reason we are here is because of our funders, GIZ. So this project is funded by GIZ and the SDC, the Swiss Development Corporation. So here we are testing. Actually right now, the inline survey is going on. And from the early data that is popping up in my computer, usually we see that the hybrid model is performing better. I think this is not surprising. So if you give the app to the farmers and if you give the app or the information to the agents, it's bringing more benefits. And this is what we are doing at FarmBetter or at Agripass using the FarmBetter, which the next she will tell us more, Minnie will tell us more about the intervention. Now, the new elephant in the room, AI. So this project was started in 2019, like as a concept. It started in 2021 at the heart of when there was COVID, but no AI. And now, like last year, the last 2 years, we are revolutionized it by like basically the AI is there. So unfortunately, we are not testing AI in our model in Agripass. The FarmBetter has little bit of an AI part, which she will mention it better. I think she will better explain it to me here, but we are usually using this app and testing the three models that I mentioned. So what do we hope AI to help us? This was mentioned also yesterday. It was mentioned also slightly here. Again, my job is teaching. I repeat every day when I go to class and starting the lecture, I summarize what we learned yesterday. And then I repeat it at the end of each chapter, and then I repeat it every semester for the exam. So let's repeat for the sake of learning. So here we can make it personalized, context specific. I was mentioning that we have gender divide, we have wealth divide, we have region divide. We were mentioning that Uganda has the most expensive data bundle, but in India it's cheap. The same applies, the same segmentation heterogeneity also applies to Sub-Saharan Africa. So we can deliver information which is deliverable. Then we can scale. We were mentioning the bundling. We can reach so many farmers at the same time. So if farmers are cultivating potato, and then a potato disease or insect is coming, it will affect everybody. And then everybody has to receive this information at the same time. And what would happen is if AI is there, it will pick the news, it will give the information, and it will basically, their smartphone will babble and then tell them something is happening. Inclusivity, we were mentioning, we have only 20% on average in Sub-Saharan Africa of female extension agents. We have from 50 to 80% of the labor force involved in agriculture is female, and which means the female farmers are not being basically advised or consulted or supported in terms of extension agent. So we hope that this woman who is sitting at home. I use it to show when I'm talking about this. I was in Indonesia, and we went to reach the family. And in Indonesia, most of them they are women. So what happened was there was a curtain between the extension agent and the woman, and then basically we didn't see the woman. We hear her, but she's not willing to show to face herself. So because we are men, so I think we could have done better if we went with a woman extension agent, which they will have face-to-face interaction and talking. Yes, and we have learning. Basically, every day we are learning. We were mentioning in the previous discussions that, well, the topics that we are mentioning here, they were already mentioned in 1950s. So yes, the questions, they don't change, the answers only change. So the extension system that we ask questions, they change. So here, I need also your support. So what is the hope for AI? Okay, we have digitalization, phone calls, voice, all those things, we can do that. But we are here to talk about AI. Some of them they were mentioned already in the morning session or yesterday evening, but we have a chance now to talk to them more, to elaborate them. So who can help me in this new, like in the potential advantage of the new elephant in the room? AI. Sorry, it's becoming a conference. So help me out to make it a conference, yeah.
So potential of AI, but you already captured there, hyper-local customization, really being able to generate advisories for super localized context. I think that is a big potential of AI. And second is this ability to integrate multimodal, multidisciplinary data sets, like being able to integrate soils, climate, markets, and the preferences of the farmers into one single model, and dishing out something would have been like hugely expensive compute-wise. But today, thanks to AI, thanks to decentralization of compute power and edge computing, you can bring a lot of these capabilities much closer to the farmer in an affordable way.
Thank you so much. I have two hidden potentials that I didn't mention. So I hope you guys will figure out them. So what are the potential of AI?
I think it's a deterministic model, but it has the potential to add some layer of predictability. And the next alternative is farming by instincts, right? So it's still better off.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes.
Thanks. I think it's not only the localization of data, but also the localization of tools. So the ability to build a tool locally for that very specific need. I think that's becoming a lot more possible now with vibe coding, as they call it, on AI.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I will take the floor again by myself. I am already in the floor, but anyway, there are two important advantages or potential that we can exploit AI. We were mentioning that the farmers, they don't have access to information, but some information is available somewhere. For example, in India, in Hindi, AI can quickly change it to Kiswahili to India. So translation is there. So the Kenyan government does not need to invest a lot of things. Just put an AI, please tell me, I need this kind of information for my farmers. Then it will extract somewhere from Russia or China or somewhere which are ahead. And then there is language translation advantage. So basically we have more information. So we don't need to recruit linguistics, go through years of translation of information or gathering of information. So in a split of a second, we can get information in any language. This is big potential. Another potential is the medium of the information. So if the information available only in video, and this woman somewhere in the remote areas of Burkina Faso, she has a Nokia phone, how do we deliver the information? And the information available only on video, on image. We can ask AI, send this information to this woman in the northern region of Burkina Faso, and it will send a voice message. So the medium of the potential of AI goes beyond a lot of things. So these are two things. So the information change, it can change the information from video-based to voice, to text, to all those things, like there is immediate benefit. And information, basically, mining. It can mine information wherever it is. If it's in Japan, we can get it in seconds in West Africa or in Latin America. Yes.
So since this is an unconference and we also probably want some critical voices. So what you just said about the translations coming from Hindi or from Russian, for example, I am using the language learning model ChatGPT quite a lot. Probably many of you do as well. It practically replaced Google for me, and I often just basic stats and everything I requested from that. But since I have been a researcher myself, I always look at the sources. And what I see is that it constantly gets sources wrong and it invents new stuff that's not even there. And it's often specific to contexts that were not the ones I provide. You need to prompt it properly to get the actual answer that you want. So the problem that I'm seeing here is when we have context-specific questions on how to deal with a pest, for example, right here in Kenya, and then you get a translated answer from Hindi that in the worst case scenario, you cannot even check the source behind. This is becoming a bit of a problem, and there need to be some control mechanisms in place that this is not just going haywire and people are going to start to get information that have the opposite effect of what they should be.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. By the way, is there somebody who speaks Arabic? Here? No. So in German, there is a word called kus. And then change it to Arabic, and then you will learn yourself. So I'm not going to tell you. So exactly what happened was like, when you translate certain terms, like exactly it's written in Latin alphabets, and then you convert it to Arabic, which also happens, the same word meaning completely different in other language, in other context. So, yeah, so that's one of the limitations of.
Yeah, I think I really just wanted to compound on that question. Thank you for asking it, but also to call on Minnie to also really respond on that and the unique way you guys are trying to get information. But to quote what Jerome said yesterday on access, accountability and agency, and because that's also the other question I have on if we're not entirely using a large language model, for example, because of wrong sources, hallucinations, and stuff like that. And we have to really have like choose and be very strategic on information. How do we get that access? How do we decentralize that access? Because farmers are very fragmented, right? So there's cost acquisition in getting data. So how am I bringing interoperability and saying that I will share with these other companies? I feel like it's a cost for me. There's an opportunity cost for that. So one is, I know you have a very unique model. It works. Tell us more about it. And then please break down really how access, agency, and accountability, how practical is that, in the sense that we've done so much work, so much resources to acquire it. Why will I share?
Okay, to answer the first question, so our model, we are training our model to search from a specific repository of data. So we are currently working with two partners, WOCAT, which is a UNCCD platform, as well as Infonet BioVision, such that if a farmer asks a question, the GPT does not ask Google, but it asks those two data sets for the answer. So you're not getting any information that is not peer-to-peer reviewed, which both organizations have peer-to-peer reviewed data. So it specifically asks those two. So in terms of who owns then, the cost of acquisition and are we willing to share the data, WOCAT works primarily on sustainable agriculture. So if you are an organization that is pushing conventional models, then you could be in conflict with what they are trying to teach, or perhaps it could work. You could actually reach out to them as an organization and, hey, we're Hello Tractor, we push fertilizer because it's essential, but we still also would like to teach sustainability, which again could be a conflict of interest. Same to BioVision. So I'd say that would be on case-to-case basis. And again, as you said, we own our farmers and we're teaching our farmers a certain way of doing things. So if you choose to work with us and you're pushing conventional agriculture, then that's where we actually agree, okay, we are working for the same farmer, but we don't have the same beliefs. That's where now that actually comes to play. But I could share with you our partners and you'll be able to see if they're open to supporting you as an organization as well, because you either partner with us because you're already partnering with them, or individual as an organization, you can actually look into that.
Sorry, we have to move on. We are warned that we are running out of time. So I will finish my segment, which I took all of the time, by the way, so Minnie, you have to squeeze your information somehow. So the things that you were mentioning, the limitations of AI, at current stage. But we are hopeful because we were mentioning here, Ram was mentioning here about the potential of improving the technology, evolving the technology over time. But anyway, we have poor connectivity and infrastructure. I had a video clip for this one. I wanted to show you a clip from Senegal, from Madagascar, but we don't have time. But anyway, the infrastructure is poor. If you go to Uganda, they have this heavy rainfall, and every year the electric poles, they fell down, the bridges, they fell down, and every year they have to restart everything. So the infrastructure is not there. So yes, we can build very sleek apps, but we are not yet be able to provide like efficient electricity or very sleek roads. Low digital functional literacy. I think all of us, we were struggling. what is the previous moderator? She was basically showing us how to, we ourselves, we have limitations on using these technologies. Language and cultural mismatch. That's exactly what happened when you try to translate immediately from German, the word kus. I don't translate it to Arabic, but anyway, you will find it completely different. Gender ed, I have mentioned this one. And the biggest problem we have, because our funders are here, or our investors are here from Germany and from the USA, the problem, the business model. We don't know actually what business model works here. All the initiatives running now at this moment for digital advisor services, they are all donor funded. But this is not sustainable. So we don't know which model works, how the farmers are be able to fund. If, for example, GIZ moves out, then can the farmers take up from there and then start working on it? And trust and data concerns. This is, I think we mentioned it in the previous one. So trust is there. I was mentioning to one of the group, if you go to Uganda, some village, or Ethiopia, or Kenya, here in Kenya, the same farmer is visited by a religious preacher. They try to convert them to another religion. Somebody is coming from a political party to convince them to elect somebody. The extension agent is coming, and somebody is coming to their family to ask them to sell their livestock or to rent their land. So they don't trust. There is issue of trust. So issue of trust is very important. And what will happen when AI, everything is gathered, the information is in the hand of a few companies, what happens? So these are all the challenges we have. And yeah, this is from my part. I think I will give one word, then Minnie will take over from here.
Great, thank you very much. My name is Jan Willem. I'm a director of eProd Solutions. We offer a supply chain management platform in 24 African countries. So if you just mentioned that so far you have not found a sustainable way to finance the advisory services, likely because farmers have a small willingness to pay for it. So the way I see it, the only way to make that sustainable is when the off-takers are embedding these costs. And they would only do that if there is, for example, contract farming. And to have contract farming, you need to have platforms that manage the contract farming, whether there's a formal contract or not, but you're talking about trust, relationship building. So all this is required to be able to embed the cost of the services. So this is also essential to feed information from the private sector into the DPI. And so I think what has not been discussed so far is how do we involve formal value chains? I think that's a critical discussion point.
I actually have an answer for that.
Exactly. So this is from my part, that yeah, you can clap for me later together.
Thank you, Kibrom. And yes, I have an answer for that because it's part of a business model that we learned the hard way when we are trying to introduce what we do. So I'm from FarmBetter. So at FarmBetter, we are working primarily to, the empower word is loosely used. We're working with farmers, mobile-first farmers, who can be able to access an app, they can be able to access the information that we have. But we primarily are working with farmer-facing organizations like cooperatives, and we are actually empowering, again, quote unquote, their extension services based on the ratio that Kibrom shared. So what we do is that we give an app that is more like a diary of sorts, where the extension officer can have a place where they can be able to view all their farmers, they can be able to view their activities. Most of them are usually given a list of what they should do. Is it a training? Is it a demo? Or whatever activities that the organization has in mind. And then they can also be able to see reported problems. So the app links directly to the farmer via WhatsApp. So as a farmer can literally go to their farm, take a picture, send it to the extension officer, and then the extension officer can be able to help directly on a solution, as well as the library where they can be able to access WOCAT, and now an integration we're working with BioVision Infonet. So this allows a cooperative, and people here who are working in cooperatives can tell you that the hardest thing is visibility of what the extension agents are doing. And this allows, this is the agent interface. This allows them to be able to see what that looks like. What we initially pick when we're onboarding the farmer and the extension agent is their location. And then from there, we are able to match the good practices based on their soil type and their location to the good practices. We have about 1,500 so far that first are matched to your current location and then other places that have a similar practice. So if you pick coffee as something that you're working with, it will show you practices in Kenya first, and then probably every other country, and then a similar soil structure to what you have. Under WOCAT, what we do is that we look at, WOCAT is peer-to-peer reviewed scientific papers. So we usually take the meat of the matter and then put it in the app. So if you go look for drip irrigation, for example, it shows you what the activity is like, and it even goes all the way granular to the cost of you installing a drip irrigation system to your farm. So that's literally what the app can do right now. And then this is also mapped to a dashboard. It's mapped to a dashboard where the cooperative farmer-facing organization can then be able to tell what is happening on extension level. So if they have a goal they're looking to meet, then they can be able to actually map the goal to the extension officer. If it's a meeting or a training that farmers should have attended, then they can be able to tell how many farmers attended. And working across the value chains, we are working with, to your question, we are working with an off-taker who is biofoods. So we are working backwards to biofood off-takes milk, and they give the price they pay for the milk is based on the quality of the milk they get. So if other off-takers are taking it at, let's say, 50 shillings per liter, biofoods will give you 65 shillings for the quality of milk. What, however, happens at cooperative level is that before the milk is taken, it's measured, and then it's either taken or rejected. So most of the time, the farmers don't know why the milk was rejected. So what we are doing using our platform is that we are working backwards and telling the farmer, you brought in your milk, the chemical level shows that your milk has antibiotics. So what then do you do? So if the milk is rejected and the clerk feeds in that your milk was rejected, then the farmer gets a notification. Your milk was rejected because of the level of antibiotics, and this is what you need to do. So we are closing the loop in terms of kind of communication, and that has come from the off-taker. If we went to the farmer first, they may not really understand it, but because there's a cost element to it, and it means more money for them, so it means that the farmers are actually more interested to know what that looks like. Same thing with the coffee, a potato value chain and the coffee value chain. If the off-taker says that we are looking at specialty coffee and this is why we'd like you to do more sustainable agriculture for us to give you a better price, then they're able to work backwards, and that's how it's working. At the moment, this is what our app can do. So we talked about giving a one-stop solution. This is our chatbot. So a farmer can be able to link to an agent. They can be able to join a peer-to-peer community where they can discuss anything, including life. But we allow them to be able to connect to other farmers within their own locality, as well as doing the same practice. We can do a marketplace. They can also be able to contact support directly, or they can be able to contact us and they can change their language. So far, in the 5 countries that we are in Agripass, we have worked with local translators and we have local languages in it. They still can be able to access our library, and this is ideally what it is. They can report a problem, take a picture, share it, and then be able to get feedback from an extension agent. What we want, so right now we're actually building with AI, collaboration with Connect AI, as well as Davu AI. So this is what we want our AI, our chatbot or that to look like. This is also coming from feedback from the field. For example, we are working, I'll choose India because it's highly diverse. Every other kilometer, there's a new dialect. So believe it or not, AI, we are hoping AI is going to sort that. Secondly, people want to see farmers who look like them, talk like them, perhaps even dress like them. So if we're going to talk to female farmers, if culturally they're not allowed to speak to a man, even if they're an extension agent, your knowledge is not worthwhile if the family members have to be there to actually curate that. So we are hoping that we can do speech to text and text to speech. How that will help is women can multitask because they're the one who do a lot of unpaid labor. And there's also the use of keywords. There's also the summarization. So you do not want to know what fall armyworm is. You just want to know, what do I do because I've found them in my farm. Audio capabilities as well. Can you listen to a person explain something like Kibrom said in a video? And then spoken word translation. So we've made the mistake of doing ChatGPT translations. In Nepal, they were like, we know what you're talking about, but this is not how we speak. But it makes sense. We understand what you're trying to say. So we are hoping that AI actually goes to the specific dialect of it all. And we're also hoping that based on all of this, if we give you a weather update, now, based on the chain Kibrom spoke about, there's pre-preparation, then there's the maintenance, and then there's post-harvest. That based on, if you're being told it's going to rain, El Nino is coming in the next 2 months, and you have maize in the farm, we don't want it to just give you the weather update. We want it to tell you what to do now in preparation of what to expect in the next 2 months. So that's what we are hoping that AI is able to tie the loop again, and such that the farmer can get all the information, and the extension agent and the organization can also be very useful in the sense of how they are working for their farmer, as opposed to their farmer being at the mercy of weather and everything else that is happening. That's it. Take a screenshot. If you'd like any information about what FarmBetter is doing, kindly reach out to me. John, my colleague, is also here. icipe, we have Kibrom. And for those of you who are interested in how to, which business model works in terms of scaling a digital advisory service, we have a toolkit under Agripass that is available to organizations. So it gives you the step-to-step on how you can be able to actually use the scale-up, the model that we have, the hybrid. It allows you to, it shows you how to train the agents, how to work with the agents for a DAS to work. Please reach out to me or Kibrom. We are going to be able to share that to you. It's free of charge. And you can be able to actually read more on the research that we've been able to do so far. Any questions before I leave the stage? Let's start with Kenya.
That's one question. How many farmers are in
at the moment?
At the moment, and how many value chains?
At the moment, we have rice value chain across the 5 countries that we're working with, Agripass. We're also working with coffee, dairy, and potato in Kenya. Yes, so far across all platforms at the moment, based on the project, we are going to have about 150 users, 1,000 users, but locally we have about 14,000 who are actively using the app. Again, at FarmBetter, we're not keen on having 1 million downloads. We actually want the one person who's downloaded the app to actually use it. If you're not using it, it doesn't count for us. We're only interested in you actually downloaded it and it's of value to you. Yeah. Yes. Yep.
How are you able to convince the farmers that
one, we match the extension agent to the farmer. So if you're given maybe this region, so we give you the application and you as the extension agent onboard us as your farmers. So when you're communicating, there's a sign off. It says that you did it. Also, what we're doing is that we're mapping the trainer of trainers, because most cooperatives have a trainer of trainer or the lead trainer. So in case a problem is directed to you and you don't have an answer, it can go to the trainer of trainer. And when it leaves their app to them, it comes back as Minnie and shows the cooperative name, such that there's a level of trust. We're ensuring that that is what happens. Yeah.
We have plans to the online party.
Yes, please. Awesome.
So yes, we had a question come in online. Digitalization agenda drive. Where do we place the farmer? ruralization, acceptability and adaptability, academic domination, simplification, avoid white elephantism.
Okay, so what we've done is we actually tried the organization FarmBetter to Farmer model. It didn't work. One, because of insults. I mean, literally everywhere we're working, farmers do not have, they have to choose, is it a meal or is it your application or the short course? So we already changed the model to it not being the farmer, but it coming from the person they trust. And in our context, they trust extension agents, they trust cooperatives, and cooperatives are bound by agreements to the off-taker. So we use the cooperative extension officers as a model and channel of distributing the information. So we train them and they are then able to channel the information vis-a-vis us asking farmers to try to digest everything else. Yeah. Those are, yeah, sorry. Sorry, yeah.
Sorry. How are we ensuring such rich discussion with great workable concept, reaching the target groups and households meltdown?
One, as I mentioned, we have a toolkit that we have worked on based on the consortia, the research, and the DAS. And for one, that's free. So if you'd like to access it and be able to understand how that works, then that's a way we are doing it. And then secondly, we're actually testing out a commercial model locally as well as in India. And we're using cooperatives. So with cooperatives, we're able to reach a lot more people vis-a-vis us trying to do farmer by farmer by farmer.